Well, despite all these gains back and forth, how they hold it down at a certain level, the debt is still racing towards $17 trillion. But forget bringing Ben Affleck in as Batman. Your financial superhero is already on the case. All right, I remember, ladies, built to scale. Anyway, Congress is still on summer break as a make-or-break October 1st deadline is fast approaching to keep the government cash flowing. Now, while the nation's rhetoric is growing, some concerns about what the House Speaker is doing, talking about yet another short-term fix that would essentially keep the spending levels going for a couple of months. In other words, limping along. Craig Smith says this is the kind of stuff that's got to stop right now because very, very quickly, the Speaker, Republicans, all of Washington losing credibility fast right now. That's a big problem for you, right, Craig?
It certainly is, and it should be for every single American, Neil. Look, two years ago this month, we celebrated the downgrading of America's debt through S&P because of the bad budget deal that we cut by raising the debt ceiling and not having appropriate spending cuts to go along with it. You remember the super committee, and they didn't come up with the cuts, and then the sequester. S&P has now been joined by Moody's and Fitch saying, look, if we can't see a credible plan to reduce these deficits, then we're going to have no choice but to downgrade you. We went from AAA to AA+, Neil, which means
Craig,
we've been
I don't think that bothers them. I really don't think it bothers them because the stigma ended when the Scarlet Letter was removed. In other words, and the jinx was up when, as you said back then, S&P said, look, you're no longer AAA. And some people then realized after that, well, all right, we're no longer AAA. And I think what's bad about that is then we sort of set our aspirations lower, and we just sort of acted that way.
Well, maybe so, but perception, may sometimes be stronger than reality, but ultimately reality kicks in. Look, we've already seen the Treasury bills up, or the 10-year note up a full %. That's a big cost to us financing this $17 trillion. We don't even know how much of a debt increase or ceiling increase they're asking for.
We should explain that, Greg. You're a genius with this stuff, but when you have $17 trillion and the borrowing cost on it go up by 1%, it's a lot. It's a lot.
It's
and
a
it
ton
exponentially
of
makes that
Neil.
get bigger and bigger. And that's a big worry for you, right?
You bet. And here's the problem, Neil. You know as well as I do, 45% of the spending in this budget is Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security entitlements. Now we're getting ready to throw Obamacare on top of that. Do you really believe that any of these agencies aren't going to say that you are no longer a risk-free borrower? Matter of fact, we came off that list when we went from AAA to AA+. We are no longer a risk-free borrower anymore, Neil. And so my question is, why aren't we doing something about it?
So you're angry at Speaker Boehner for kind of just going along the limp along here.
Well, Boehner's going to have to make a choice here, Neil. He's going to have to say, look, I don't care if I lose my speakership or if I lose my job as a congressman. I'm going to have to tell the American people we have to make these cuts. We've got to hold the line. This whole nonsense about default, the only way the country would default is if Treasury Secretary Lew wanted to default. We've got enough money coming in. Government shutdown, okay, we still pay our bills. We still get along, but we're going to have to deal with entitlements. Neil, we can't kick the can any further down the road. It's time to deal with this.
It's amazing. Craig, thank you very much. Swiss America Chairman Craig Smith in Phoenix. In the meantime, here